الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على that عبارة the text I'll just read it again. والغدير العظيم الذي لا يتحرك أحد طرفيه في تحريك الطرف الآخر إذا وقعت نجاسة في أحد جانبيه. That is the text we done yesterday. So just to recap the whole thing, remember, if water is kathir, right, and then najasat falls in it, as long as the color, taste, or smell does not change, you can still make wudu from it, right? Right, you got that. Then we discuss what is ma'i kathir. Different explanations. We done one explanation is that if you are making wudu on the one side, then you not see the ripples on the other side. You not experience the ripples on the other side, right? So, and the reason was that if the ripples does not travel from the one side to the other side, it is so big that the ripples does not travel from the one side to the other side, then naturally the najasat will not travel from this side to that side. Are you with me? And then some ulama have tried to quantify it, and in Persian it's known as deh. And we said it's like 10 zira by 10 zira. It would be about 42 centimeters. So you're looking about 5 meters by 5 meters, something like that. And then also there was an explanation there, discussion about uh, not seeing the ripples on the other side. Does it refer to when making wudu from there, or does it refer to when bathing in there? And then the preferred explanation was that when you bath in there, because normally a person makes wudu in the house and you bath outside in the pond. This was in previous times, obviously. So I told you, if you understand the usul, inshallah, despite the scenario being different, but you understand the usul, then it will make sense to you, inshallah, right? Now, the next discussion we're going to discuss today is, though we discussed here, okay, just one step back again, that if it is ma'a qalil, it is little water, which is lesser than this, what we discussed here, and little najasat falls in, whether you see it, you smell it, or you taste it, it still will be najis. It will still be najis, right? But if it is ma'a kathir, right, then so long as you don't see it, smell it, or taste it, the water will be pure, right? Then the discussion was there also that when we say it is pure, doesn't mean you have to make wudu from the other side. If you make wudu from the side, is it okay? We said so long as there's no athar, there's no effects of the najasat where you are making wudu, it will be fine, right? So building on this discussion about najasat falling into water, especially when it is my qalil, there is another discussion here. Normally in the kutub, like you do Kuduri and you do Sharh al-Wiqaya, we've got detailed discussion, like when the Jasid falls in a well, etc., etc. This is not in Hidayah Sharif, but here they're saying if you got ma'i qalil, little water, right, and certain things fall in the water and die, it will not render it najis. Generally, if a living thing falls in the water and dies, it will render the water najis if it is maya qalil. So you've got a tank of water, you've got a bucket of water, a rat fell in there, a bird fell in there, etc. It died in there. So we say the water is najis. But certain animals, or certain creatures rather, that does not have flowing blood, certain creatures that does not have flowing blood, if it dies in the water, it will not render the water najis. And I'll give you the reasoning before we look at the kitab. Remember, we told you that blood is najis. Né? Damun masfuhun. Blood is najis. So now, an animal or a creature or whatever, maybe animals are the right word, which has blood, if it dies in water, ma'a qalil, so that blood, it will somehow that fuses through the body and it will contaminate the water. Are you with me? So those creatures that does not have blood, those creatures which does not have blood, if it dies in the water, it will not contaminate the water. Simple words. Okay, read the first text, inshallah. You got nafsun or nafasun. Okay. Okay, see same thing. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَمَوْتُ مَا لَيْسَ لَهُ نَفْسٌ. Now, if you look at nafs, normally, it translates as a being, as a, yeah. So nafs normally it means like a living thing. But in this context, it refers to blood because is a sign of life, so to say. So the death of that which does not have blood, the death of that which does not have blood, flowing blood. Nafsun sayun fil in the water, la yunajisu, it will not render it najis. Kal baki, like a lice, a tick, right? Was dubabi, like the fly, was zanabiri. You check this was a wasp, you checked it. What you got for it? Wasp. Well, akrabi, scorpion, wa nahwiha. So all those insects that does not have blood, these are just examples. These are just examples. If it falls in water and it dies in the water, it will not render it najis. And I told you the reasoning is this, that if the animal has got blood, that blood will transfuse. Because remember, you have pores in your body, right? And through those pores, you get your perspiration, whatever. So that, remember, we also discussed this here, that that animal which is haram to consume, right? Its perspiration will also be najis, remember. So, because the perspiration, or maybe not perspiration, you have to say sweat, for animals say sweat, because the sweat, it is born from the blood. So that will go into the water and it will contaminate it. So that creature which does not have blood, it doesn't have najis blood, so it doesn't have any najis, so to say, sweat, whatever, that will contaminate the water. Are you with me? Is that clear? So, له نفس سائل في الماء لا ينجسه كالبق والذباب والزنابير والأقرب. What word did you check? Right. Wasp, right. Carry on. Right. So, yeah, in this ibarat, um, yeah, the author is making reference to the difference of opinion with Imam Shafi. Imam Shafi says, anything which you are not allowed to eat, anything which is haram to consume, if it die in water, the water becomes najis. It doesn't matter whether it has blood or not. Doesn't matter whether it has blood or not. That's what he's saying. See, he says. So in other words, a fly, are you allowed to eat a fly? It's haram. Are you allowed to eat a scorpion? No. There's a hadith that say, um, حرم عليكم حشرات الأرض أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والتسليم. So Imam Shafi said, we do not look at whether it has flowing blood or non-flowing blood. All we look at, all we look at what is whether it is haram to consume or halal to consume. See, they say, وَقَالَ الشَّافِعِيُّ يُفْسِدُهُ. Imam Shafi saying the death of all these things, wasp, lice, all of that, it will render the water najis. And why will it render it najis? Because it is haram, right? And then he's saying, but this is his reasoning. He's saying, look here, the reason why it will render it is because this is haram to consume. So if it is haram, that means it is najis. You understood his reasoning? I repeat his reasoning. He said because it is haram to consume this, it is najis. So as though a najis thing died in the water, hence the water will become najis. You understood? Now the next ibarat I told you I will start to say ismetori se pechidgi. It is a bit complicated, but let me explain to you first. He's saying, look here, look at me for 1 second. Everything which is haram to consume, right? And it's haram to consume not out of respect for it. When it dies in water, it will remain there. Just, I repeat, I'll tell you why I say so. This is what he's saying. Everything, this ibarat is a bit tricky. Everything, pechidgi. What's the word? Pechid, Urdu word. Our Ustad, Ilyas Patel, whenever we come to different difficult, say, Ghor se deklo. Look nicely. Isme tori se pechidgi. Imagine here we're doing Hidayah, we're studying English, we can't understand it. Imagine We need to do it in Urdu still, a language you don't know. So you're getting it easier. So he say, horse deklo is methodology pechit gear. It's a bit complicated, this ibarat here. So he say, look here, I'll explain you again first. Everything which is haram, and it is haram not because it is najis. It is haram out of respect for it. When it dies in the water, it makes it najis. I'll tell you. So are you allowed to eat the human flesh? No. Why are you not allowed to eat? Is it najis? No. It's not najis. It's haram out of respect for it. Right? Are you allowed to use any body part of a human being? Can you make a necklace with somebody's fingers? Maybe your father died or something. You chop his fingers and you make a necklace with out of respect for him. Now, you make a necklace out of his teeth, or you make something out of his hair or something. You can't. Why you can't do that? Because that is karamatan insan. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بِآدَمَ. That's why also the masla comes about if a woman is having problem with her hair is falling out, whatever she wants to wear a wig, she can do it anything, synthetic hair, she can do it animal hair, but she can't use human hair, she can't use khinzir hair. Why she can't use khinzir hair? Because the khinzir is najis will ayn. But you can't use human hair, not because it is najis, out of respect for it. I told you what will happen if you say now you can start using body parts. What do people now start doing? You start farming with human beings and then chop them up and then use them. So Islam is foresighted. It's cut that out from the beginning. That's why you can't, right? So, see, this Imam Shafi says, لأن التحريم, that which is haram to eat, right? لا بطريق الكرامة, not out of respect for it, not out of respect. Like a human is out of respect. So anything was so you don't respect a fly. You don't say you're not allowed to eat a fly because it's we honor the fly or something like it. It's ayatun najasati. It's a sign that it is najis. You understood? So this is what Imam Shafi is saying. Anything which is haram for you to eat it, and the reason why it's haram is not out of respect for it, because right, because when this is excluding a human being, ayatun najas is a sign that it is najis. Are you with me? You got it down. Is it clear? So what he's saying, anything which is haram to consume, and this hurmat, this impermissibility, la bitariqil karam, but it's not out of respect for it. It is just because it is something you can say that or faulty. Ayatun najasati, it's a sign that is najis. You sure? Then we say, بخلاف دود النحل وسوس الثمار لأن فيه ضرورة. So this is our mazhab here is that all of these things here. So sorry, this is Imam Shafi's mazhab. So Imam Shafi is saying anything which you are not allowed to eat, anything which you are not allowed to eat, right? If it falls in the water and it dies in the water becomes najis. But contrary to dud in nahli, the worm, if you look to translate it, means nahl means what? Yeah, you got dudul. I got your dudul nahli. So dudul nahli would refer them to, huh? I got dudul nahli. Yeah. So it means contrary to the bee, contrary to the bee, and contrary to the fruit fly. What's it? Su systemari. We call it here. What you call it? You know when the fruit stands a long time, you call it, huh? Yeah. So here Imam Shafi said there's these things, if they die in the water also, it will not render it najis because لأن فيه ضرورة. It is a ضرورة. Maybe it is difficult to protect the water all the time from this soon. So I'll recap again what we've done so far. We say that anything which does not have flowing blood, when it dies in the water, it does not render it najis. Because the reason why the death of something in the water renders it najis is when the blood, because blood is najis, so the blood from there comes the perspiration is najis, and that now diffuses through the body and it goes into the water. Then we say those things which does not have blood in it, if it dies in the water, it will not render the water najis. Right? So a fly or a mosquito or whatever you get, a louse, all that type of thing. As Imam Shafi say, anything which is haram for you to eat, right? That is a sign that this is najis. So you're not allowed to eat a fly, you're not allowed to eat a mosquito, You're not allowed to eat a worm. You're not allowed to eat a scorpion. So this shows his najis. So if it dies in the water, it renders the water najis. Then he says, he makes one exclusion, unlike a human being. So if a pure human being dies in the water, whatever, that will not render the water najis. Why? Because you're not allowed to eat him, not because it is najis, but because of honor. Then Imam Shafi got an exclusion there, بِخِلَافِ دُورِ النَّحْلِ, or you say khalli, that refers to a fly, was it a honeybee, وَسُوسٍ ثِمَارِ, and also the fruit fly, لأن فيه ضرورة, there's a need. These things are common all over. If you're going to say that they render, they death in the water renders the water najis, there will be a lot of difficulty in that. So I told you before, al-haraju madfu'un. There's a principle to say that when there's undue difficulty in something, in Sharia it creates some type of expense. There's another principle also, إذا ضاق الأمر اتسع. إذا ضاق الأمر اتسع. When something becomes very, very difficult, in Sharia creates some leeway, some ease to make it easy for you, right? So Imam Shafi is using the same principle, which is actually the Hanafi principle, that he also agree with when there's difficulty in something, right? So now we're going to give our reason to say why these one logical reason so far. A logical reason was that it does not have blood. Right? The other reason is ولا نقول عليه السلام فيه هذا هو الحلال أكله وشربته والوضوء منه. Yeah, the Isai Bidayah only mentioned a portion of the hadith, but here in the Shara, they got the full hadith is mentioned here. I'll mention the hadith to you. عن سلمان رضي الله عنه سئل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن إناء فيه طعام أو شراب يموت فيه ما ليس له دم سائل فقال هو الحلال أكله وشربه والوضوء منه. That Nabi Sallallahu was once asked about a utensil in which an insect fell, which does not have flowing blood. So Nabi Sallallahu said, what is it? هو الحلال أكله. Right. هو الحلال أكله وشربه والوضوء منه. He said you can eat from it and you can drink from it. The death of an insect that does not have blood does not render it najis. And then obviously you know the famous hadith that you done in Usul Shashi also. That Nabi Sallallahu said, if a fly falls into your drink, then dub the whole thing in, because on one wing there is a poison, on the other end is an antidote. Remember, so if a fly was najis, or it rendered the water najis, Nabi Sallallahu didn't tell you to put the whole fly in. Are you with me? So this is part of the longer hadith here. I read it to you from the Shara. هذا هو الحلال أكله وشربه والوضوء منه. Right. Then another thing, yeah, so that is the jawabe nakli from the text, right? So the next thing is the jawabe akli, the logical proof. As Sahih Bidayah, always put a nakli dalil and a akli dalil. ولأن المنجسة, the thing that actually renders the water najis, هو اختلاط الدم المسفوح. It is the mixing or the merging of flowing blood بأجزائه, what its portions in the mouth when it dies, it gives us the toxins, but these things don't have it, right? That's why we say حتى حل المذكى لإنعدام الدم فيه. And what's our proof to say it is actually the blood in the animal that renders it najis? See, there's another masa. We say if the animal has been slaughtered correctly according to Sharia, and all the blood from there has been expelled, and there's no other najasit on his body, if that falls into water, we won't say the water is najis. We'll say the water is still clean. Why? Because the najis blood has already been expelled from it. So that shows you that it's actually the blood which renders it najis. It's actually the blood. حتى حل المذكر لإدام الدم فيه ولا دم فيه, and there's no blood in it, so it's 100%. والحرمة ما ليست من ضرورة النجاة. Yeah. Then we say, now we're going to answer to Imam Shafi. See, the fact that you can't eat something does not necessarily mean it's najis. That's what we're answering. We say to Imam Shafi, the fact that you cannot eat something does not mean it's najis. Look at sand. It is not permissible to eat sand. But does that mean sand is najis? No. Same thing. You cannot eat a fly. You cannot eat a wasp. You cannot eat a scorpion. You cannot eat a lizard, whatever. But does that mean it is najis? Doesn't mean that it is. You understood that? Okay, read the next ibarat. Right. وموت ما يعيش في الماء فيه لا يصيده كالسمك والضفدع والسرطان. Interesting. This is very important masala nowadays, especially with the drought. Can you have sojo tank? Can you have all this type of thing? So now, so they're saying first we said that thing which does not have blood, and it dies in the tank, it does not render the. Here we're speaking more about Maya Kalil because it's Maya Kathir, then there's more latitude in the thing until the color taste smell doesn't change, right? So you got a Jojo tank. It's something which generally lives in water, something which generally it died. Like so وَمَوْتُ مَا يَعِيشُ فِي الْمَاءِ لَا يُفْسِدُ. It will not render it najis, even if it swells up, whatever, like kasamaki, like fish, والضفدعي, like a frog, والسرطاني, like a crab, water crab, etc. What وقال الشافعي يفسده. Imam Shafi says, إِلَّا السَّمَكُ لِمَا مَرَّ. Imam Shafi said, even though the thing lives in water, it is a, what we say in English, an aquatic animal. What we say, even though an aquatic animal lives in water, it will still render it najis, right? Except the fish. The only thing that won't render the water najis is a fish. And what is his reasoning? His reason is this here, that you can't eat these things, all these funny, funny things. And if you can't eat all these funny, funny things, like what funny, funny things, like prawns, lobsters, whatever. This is so yeah, probably side bidai. We know in the Shafi madhab there's more expense that you eat prawns and all that type of thing. But maybe yeah, in my Shafi bidai is just making a reference to one of the opinions where he said you can't eat this stuff, right? So he said these things you can't eat it. So since you can't eat it, it means najis, and so that means make the water najis, right? Illa samak. So the same reasoning. What's our reason to say that something which lives in water, which is primarily an aquatic animal, ولا أنه مات في معدنه فلا يطلع حكم النجاسة كبيضة حال مخها دما. They say, look here, as long as the najasat remains in its original place, it's not najis. Like look at your arm here. You see, you under your skin, you got what? Blood. You got so that blood is najis, isn't it? But it's in its original place. It's in its repository. Yes, when it comes out of the skin and it moves to another place, then it becomes najis. They're saying there's frogs. It's like the blood in your body. As long as it's your blood is in your body, it doesn't come on your skin, it doesn't come on your clothes, it will not render it najis. So these things, even though they die there, they don't come out of the water, it's still pure because and you see, وَلِأَنَّ مَاتَ فِي مَعْدَنِهِ. It died in its original place of, you can say, ma'dan, where it was created. فَلَا يُطَالَهُ حُكْمُ النَّجَاسَةِ. It will not be given the hukum of najasat. Say, كَبَيْضَةٍ حَالَ مُخُّهَا دَمًا. Like an egg where the inside is turned to blood. So if you got the egg, and even inside the egg is blood, it turned to blood, whatever, you can still read the mass if you got that egg. You can pray with that egg in your pocket. Why? Because you say the blood is still in its original place of creation. Are you with me? Okay, time must have to stop there. So same thing, like how it will not be considered, like how the blood is the original place of creation. Does we say the fish that dies in the water is in its original place of creation, hence it will not be considered to be something najis. If we stop there, we'll continue. I told you sometimes the Messiah seems so irrelevant. Sometimes, but you don't know what will happen tomorrow. We are in this country, South Africa, we are in a, it's called a water stress country. South Africa is a water stress. That's why every now and then you see P got a drought, then you see Joburg got a drought, then you see Cape Town got a drought. We are waters, so people are using Jojo tanks, etc. Things can die in there. Remember, yes, I told you also the myself, Malik Kathir. I remember clearly in Joburg when there was I think we were studying that time and